This project was not like the usual festivals. It was a campaign. The Italian corporation approached us. They wanted to create awareness on AIDS and malaria in northern Uganda. And as a cultural person, a NativeTravel festival is not about propaganda or like patronizing people. We just want to talk about issues that affect people, but from their perspective, and we wanted people to be involved in the process. So I indicated to Malco Ballerin, who was the manager of the project, that my earlier experience had been that when we went to people, however interesting the films we took to them, they were not that involved because they thought we were telling them issues that were not directly like concerned to them or realistic of their conditions. So I said I wanted a platform for the local voice. Interestingly, he was also interested in that approach. So we sat down and devised means of how we are going to get people involved. And it wasn't just about health that they wanted. For me, it was going to be an issue of what it is that affected people or people wanted to talk about. It could even be celebrating or agriculture or anything. The beauty of this project is that actually you work with other stakeholders. We did not want to see other stakeholders as competitors. So we worked with radio stations and they were giving us editorial support. And they would announce to the people, and radio works a lot up country. That is the medium of communication. Remember, we are going in one day and we want to reach as many people as possible. The radio would have announced. They would have told them where we are going, and then we would go with a mobile van which would drive around the villages mobilizing. We would play music. We went with a group called Watmon Cultural Group. They would come out and dance, and all of us would join them sometimes and dance and sing. And the group would go like to the trading center and start dancing, and people would come following them. By this time, people had already set up the mobile cinema or the screen and projector, and then we had dances and we had children singing. So it would help mobilize the communities. So apart from taking the musicians with us or the cultural group, we also wanted communities to participate. One day we were still setting up and we had DJ Fabulous, who was working for one of the local radio stations, asked Sarah, what are we going to do? And I told him, I think Fabulous, what you do, you play the music. It's not like something we had pre-planned. It's something that just came up, and I said, why don't you just play the music and ask children to dance, and whoever wins or the audiences themselves can select, pick out who they think should stay. It was just unplanned, but it worked out because people were always so excited to see these children dancing, and they would choose who was winning, who would stay, and it would attract them to come, but it would already get them engaged in the process. We realized and we knew that people were reluctant to talk, so we had to lay a strategy. How are we going to make these people talk, considering that at first the request had been that we are not going to patronize them, but involve them in the process.
Say a lot.
We took with us Patience and Mariana, who were from the Department of Music, Dance and Drama, Makerere University, and they were going to do something called Forum Theatre.
So feel free to raise an issue, because these are your fellow women. They will not go and say this one said this. No, you feel free to say anything you feel like is pressing you and you want us to talk about it and make a play on it and show it later. Another person?
So, as an HIV positive mother, normally they are supposed to breastfeed for 6 months and you wean off the child. There, after weaning, alternative feeding is not there because they are poor. So the youths are not caring about their lives. There are a lot of prostitutes.
Yeah.
Yes. So they are very disorderly. There's a lot of immorality in the area.
You've raised very many issues, but I want us to begin with this issue you raised of young girls doing immoral things. And this one is a bad image to you as mothers of those girls. So I want us to discuss about it. What do you think we could do for these children in order for them to stop this? Do you think there's anything we could do to make them maybe stop what they are doing? Could you give me a suggestion, or one can advise those girls?
Thank you very much. I request our youths you should tackle education seriously so that your future is secured. Until you are ready for marriage. Yeah, you should not engage in sex until you are ready for marriage in future. That's when you can get married and stay peacefully. Thank you. Yeah, I'm begging these men who steal the foodstuff given to us, sell and drink, that if we also do the same, if we women also sell and drink, what are we going to feed our children on? Because if he comes back from his drinking place, he needs some food. In case there is no food, I don't cook. Violence will result. So I'm advising them, let them stop. It is this foodstuff which we use to feed ourselves and our children.
We would ask the people to talk about their own issues. Then these people could develop a play. And this play was developed with the help of the communities. They were the ones who identified what they wanted to talk about, and they would also select which roles they wanted to act.
She touches the jerrycan, there's no water.
Jerrycan pipe on.
So she gets a jerrycan to go and so when she leaves, her husband, this one, he arrived. So when he arrived, he sees the sack of food and he's very excited. So immediately he gets the sack, he puts it on the bicycle and drives.
Yeah, he first looks around,
Yeah,
see whether there's no one seeing him, and then slowly puts and drives.
Oh, kau no chama ke gamu dong ke kelo gange. Tahu neno pin ka down to pian mero palo ne. Come on, go. Si tinho. Mai mau ngồi. Dạ mau là như vậy. À, dạ cái con này cái kia nó đây. Dạ ý mía rồi. À mía rồi. Cái mía má là quên chi này đi. Dạ mía. Dạ mía. Em nó quen có cái cha.
Our crew would be filming them. Meanwhile, the mobile van is announcing in the villages. Meanwhile, another crew, because we took 2 cameramen and we took 2 editors, would be filming these ones.
You could have not in my guy.
Kia là ra mà nó cười chặt cái món này cần chụp miếng này. Nó mang cái mau là
we didn't need quite change for the drop jam.
Gini pin bigi.
Any mega the answer do
So later on, we would screen it where having an approach whereby we would not come out with a solution. We would just leave the thing hanging. So these people, having seen people from their villages acting, they would be so excited that they would come up with the solutions. That way, people were so involved and were excited and would give interesting information, and you would be surprised how much information they have and how much we learned from their experience, considering they were the ones who were experiencing what it is we were telling them about.
HIV is a big problem in this country, and especially in northern Uganda, that has been ravaged by war for the last 20 years, and now it's trying to recover. But still, the prevalence of HIV, especially in this region, in the north, is about the highest in the country. And one of the problems we are facing is that we don't have the people in the community coming out and doing these tests for HIV such that they could know their status, and with improved health care, start treatment that would better their lives. About the people testing, I want to particularly point this out. We are having a problem with the males. The males in the community, especially the adults, are not doing this test. The women tend to be more health seeking, so they tend to come for the tests more than the males, and they end up receiving the treatment and the other health services for HIV more than the males.
If many who do not want to go protesting in summary.
The interesting experience for me has been that we were worried that the men will not come in, which is true, because the men, according to the women and the discussions we've been having, do not want to go for tests. Why? When we engaged them and asked them, why don't you, they even said they don't know. That shows that they're products of their society, where a patriarchal society where men are big and they don't want to be taught this and that, and they don't want to go with women carrying them because sometimes they will laugh at you and maybe they are scared. But when we engaged them and we used a very simple means of having them like talk about the issues, after talking about their own issues, they themselves, they act. At first the men were refusing, but then because it started like it's their thing, simple, nobody's forcing them, they found that they wanted to participate and they opened up.
He got to know that in Gulu district there's a system of testing people for HIV at night. If women are tested during day, but men they want to test at night. Now he is saying we should take the truth up there. We have to trace if this is the right thing to do here. This is why
I am so happy with the approach, and the men who've not been talking have been talking, allowing them to identify their problems, discuss it. Yes, we facilitate them, we engage them, but also let them suggest solutions. That way it also allows you to give advice, but not from a patronizing manner. But the men are just products of their society, whereby previously an African man, you didn't question them, and the women also allow it, because when you tell them, have you talked to your husband, they go like, how can you tell your man, he can even beat you? But it's quite different maybe in Kampala. I'm sure that now that there's been the war has quite ended, there's universal primary education, people are going to school, maybe to change a bit, but largely a tool which allows this discussion, which goes to the people, and it's done in their language, because there's also a language barrier. Usually we communicate in English. Even the films are translated into local languages. We've gotten the people to act in their own languages, and it has encouraged the men to come out a bit.
And I'm standing here, I want to tell you that I'm HIV positive. What shows that this is what shows that I'm HIV positive? Because I'm taking this medication. It's here. How it depends, and it pains me, and you want to give pain to your friend. It's very painful and shameful. It's very, very painful. Children, and you girls, take care.
In our culture, talking about sex is kind of taboo. And then we were here and we wanted to encourage people to use condoms. We wanted to encourage people to be faithful to their partners in a culture where it is okay for men to have more than one wife. And at the same time, we wanted to tell young people that they can abstain. How do you say that when they are mothers, fathers, and the elderly without embarrassing them? 3 days into the tour, when we were in northern Uganda, we met a guy called Ivan. Ivan solved that solution. He started with a handkerchief, and he would make teams stand, and they would say, can you identify who has the handkerchief? And of course, because they didn't see, they would fail, and he would say that that's how you can't tell who has AIDS. And then he would later choose someone to come and protect someone, and then the team circles that person and they start throwing a ball at him, and this person who is blocking would stop the ball if they were very good, so they would not hit the person, but sometimes they would eventually hit. So you would say, okay, a condom can also sometimes burst, so what is the other alternative? And then they would say, be faithful, so they get another person to block. So in front there's a condom, in the sideways there's be faithful. But even then, sometimes be faithful and condom would also like miss, meaning that these other people had managed to hit the person who was acting like the person who is trying to avoid the AIDS, and then they would say, okay, so be faithful has failed, condom has failed, what else? Then get a partner. It means that it is hard to hit this person. That would allow us to talk about condom without being embarrassed, to talk about abstinence, and to also talk about being faithful to your partner. And we took it with us even to West Nile, and now we have it wherever we want to use it, and we hope that other people can adapt it.
Putting all these little pieces together and trying to have a picture of the whole work that we have done, it's pretty complicated, and it is an experience by itself. I wish we could find a way to put all these things together and be able to deliver as best as possible the experience that we had in a way that maybe somebody else can take advantages of that.
Actually, the local leaders there were telling us, and they were saying, you're gone, so what will happen? And Malco was worried, so we decided that we were going to try to start and organize workshops and invite all the community-based organizations and invite all the health practitioners, local leaders, and anybody who was interested, and we would have workshops. We mainly successfully held workshops in West Nile. I know that development in Africa has failed because we get concepts that are alien, introduce them to our people because they've been designed by the World Bank and Monetary Fund, and they are dumped here. They are not relevant, conscious of our realities, so they do not work. we take it to the people. Of course, it doesn't work because, first of all, people have not participated in the process. Secondly, it is not in their culture. They don't even understand it. Sometimes it is even taboo to them. Sometimes things are taboo, but when you explain to people and you engage them and you make them a part of the process, there is a way in which they get involved, and it's amazing how much knowledge they also have and information and how you can exchange. Let them come out with the recommendations. Even when you don't agree with the recommendations, if you take part and you guide them somehow, a consensus, you might never be able to believe in everything, but in a way there is a way you liberate people's mind. Because sometimes people actually know these issues, but they just need a discussion or sharing of experience and things like that. So this is an appeal I would like to leave here, and that I would encourage. Also, I'm happy to tell you that I've been lucky to be selected as a beneficiary of the Cinema Arena project in terms of I'm going to receive equipment, and I'm going to continue with the mobile cinema project, but also supporting filmmakers, because for me it is a problem. I have endless scripts and I've not been able to make as many as I would like because I didn't have the resources and funds. So if other filmmakers can benefit from that project, who will tell our stories, and then the Native Travel Festival will be able to take native stories